do you need carbohydrates to perform as an athlete? So I get a lot of questions about, I do long distance, I do sprinting, I do heavy high intensity training. Do I have that limitation with my gluconeogenesis pathway?
Yep. Common question. Very, very, very common question, I would have to say. And the answer is yes and no. Don't you love it when the answer is yes and no? Yes, you do need carbohydrates to perform not only athletic activity, but any activity at all, including standing up, sitting down, even basic stuff. No, you don't need any carbohydrates in your diet in order to have the carbohydrates in your body that do the work that the muscles need the carbohydrates for. That's the short answer, basically. The longer answer, I don't know if we need a longer answer, because that's pretty much it. Gluconeogenesis is the longer answer. Your body makes all the glucose it requires for all purposes if it's required to do so. The dietary requirement for carbohydrates is still not 1 single gram ever. And yes, an athlete not only tends to perform as well as they did on carbohydrates, but often better, in fact, once they have gone through a full metabolic adjustment.
Okay. So it'd be incorrect for someone to say it's a stressful metabolic process or it's taxing or.
Yeah, it would be incorrect to say that, because at the end of the day, all the processes that exist in the body in terms of the metabolic pathway are all driven by concentration gradients and efficacy of the right concentration of numbers of enzymes. Having sufficient enzymes is not in and of itself stressful. Why would it be stressful? A lot of people say, well, you look at someone that's in that kind of nutritional pathway and you find indicators. Oh, yeah, you find indicators, but that doesn't mean you've actually found the item you're looking for. An indicator of stress, distress. Cortisol, they go for it usually. Not just cortisol. Well, there are many, many things that can affect someone's cortisol profile. And cortisol in and of itself is not necessarily problematic, depending on the pattern of cortisol presence in the body. So, there's that.
Okay. Now, another question relating to that. People will say, in my experience, the way I train, I find when I add in 20 grams of carbs, pre-workout or something like that, I perform better. Do you think there's validity to that, or do you think it's just putting more fuel in the system?
I think there are several things that potentially impact. One is a placebo effect, in that person believes very strongly that it will have such an impact. Ergo, the effort they output is higher. Ergo, their performance is better. Nothing to do with having carbohydrates on board necessarily. So that's a potential confounder, a potential player. And I think it's a pretty good one. And we only really need to give one thing that absolutely underpins it, or undercuts it, I should say. Not underpins it, undercuts it. So there you go. Let's keep it short.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, makes sense.